Morning, everybody. Let's pick up where we left off, and that was on the day of the collision, or the day that changed my life. There was a lot that I sort of touched on, sort of under the theme of how this accident, this collision, didn't just happen to me, it happened to all of us. And when I say all of us, I mean family, friends, um, because everyone's affected by it, and everyone has a different role in it, and everyone is notified of it by someone that's close to each other and close to me. And I know I touched on a little bit about how the kid was involved, but there's a lot more to that, a lot more that he had to do that was just horrible. I don't wish that on anybody. But then also a lot of what my other friends had a role in, and family. So I think I had mentioned how the kid was the one that came to the hospital, saw me in the recess room, and then he had to drive out of town to notify my wife, which is unpleasant enough of a task as it is, because it's a difficult thing to do. There's a personal relationship there, and also you have an hour to get stressed out. He had an hour to get stressed out about it to get to where she was. So all that time, it's in his brain, and you know, he has to do his job and be the friend. That's hard. It's hard. And receiving that news in person, of course, was, you know, just a shock to my wife. I think she could only describe it best, and maybe one day she'll talk about it on a video with me, and maybe one day my friends will also, but that's up to them. Even though it's my story, you know, I couldn't have done this without them, gotten through this without them. And then he had to drive her back and get her to the hospital. I don't know, because I wasn't conscious. I don't know what her first memory was of me, or what her first sight was. But I know that she had, you know, an hour of hell to start off with, to get back into town. You know, it makes me think about how over the years certain people have thought or said that the job is glamorous. Well, try that on for size, making a notification and not knowing what to tell the person, knowing that you're not sure of their outcome, and spending that time just needing to get back there. Ain't fucking glamorous at all. And so then my wife had to, of course, after she got to the hospital and sort of got a sense of things, and talking to the boys there and talking to medical staff, just reeling with the gut punch that must have been, she had to then phone my daughter, who lived in Vancouver at the time. And thank goodness that my daughter was not alone when she made the phone call, was with a friend. And I just can't imagine what that's like to hear. So, but her boyfriend got her to the airport, and she got on a plane. And I think my wife had to tell my brother as well. And he came to the hospital, of course. And I also think that, I don't remember if it was my brother or my wife that phoned my mom. I can't imagine making those phone calls, though I have done that for family tragedies and for friends that have committed suicide. I've made phone calls like that, so I have a vague idea about what it's like. There are commonalities with all those different types of notifications that are painful, but they have to be done. And also my good friend, Irish Bobby, or Bobby Hill, was working the desk in 3, and he had to make some notifications, calling a few people anyway, most notably, you know, our group of 5, as it were, and in particular, one of my best friends who was one half of the original Echo 305, who I think was either coming home from night shift or evening shift and lives a fair ways out of town, and their phone was off. And of course many of people in the service know how close we are, so Bobby had to make that phone call and tell him, and then of course his phone lit up, and you know, he was told something to the effect of "Dan's in hospital, critical unstable, it's bad, and we don't know what the outcome will be." I can be corrected if that's not exactly accurate, but it was something to that effect. And you know, you're just barely asleep, tired as fuck, and then hit with, again, an absolute gut punch. I really like that term. It's accurate. Or throat punch, maybe, in terms of what it does to you physically and emotionally. And you're just filled with a sense of panic, and you have to get into town, get to the hospital. You know, so those are other things that went on that day. And then over the next couple of days, I want to, before I forget, give a special shout out to an ICU nurse who went out of his way to explain the process of the next couple of days to my family, so that they were well informed, or as well informed as could be, as to how things would be, and to remember that they needed to go home and get some rest, because sitting at the hospital waiting in fear and panic and confusion can just cause an inordinate amount of unhealthy stress, which everyone was already suffering through already. So thank you. You know who you are. If you happen to watch this, I know I wasn't conscious to meet you at the time, but I can never repay what you did for my family. I also want to remember to say thanks to all the officers that were there. Everybody's cops, regardless of your rank or color of shirt. And again, when I heard about how many people were there and how the doctor told them that they're gonna have to, some of them are gonna have to leave and it was getting overcrowded, I was really fucking shocked, because I really never thought of myself as someone who was popular or well thought of, because my style of policing, certainly in uniform, and my mouth has certainly got me in trouble and caused headaches for plenty of person over the years. But I was unconsciously humble at how many people were there. Okay, and so over the next couple of days, I had a lot of life-saving surgeries, and I want to thank the extremely skilled hands, tenacious ability, and operational savvy of the surgeons that put all the Terminator shit in my neck, fusing my spine, and who saw fit not to give me the halo, which is literally metal bars around your head, sort of in the shape of a crown, with screws going into your noggin, into your bone. Having just the collar on, I would think I later on really realized how lucky I was. The doctors that got my internal bleeding under control, that put the Terminator rod in my left lower leg, that had a good look at the blood clot in the side of my neck and decided not to operate because that would have quite possibly sent it upstairs, which is no bueno. The colostomy bag, while I understand its necessity, and of course I didn't realize that I even had one till maybe a week later or several days later. Holy fuck, am I glad to not have that anymore, and lucky to have had my reattachment surgery done. I'm just lucky, there's no other way to put it. The concussion and fracture, I don't know if you can see that. That wasn't there before. Maybe even uglier, but oh well. This red thing, it's not permanent. That's just from my Darth Vader mask, so I can sleep at night. But the next sort of memorable time or period was in the ICU. And, or I was in a medically induced coma for I don't know how long, days I think. And some of my first memories, or dreams at least, came out of that time where I wasn't feeling a fucking thing. And I was on 3 heavy motherfucking drugs all at once, you know, with a specific purpose and amount and timing. So it was fentanyl, ketamine, and hydromorphone going through me all at fucking once. And having had some of the nightmares and or dreams that I had, I will never fucking understand why people deliberately seek that shit out for recreational use. Unfucking believable things that I just accepted as reality. For instance, if you've ever seen the Marvel movie Doctor Strange, where the streets and buildings and walls and things fold on fucking top of each other and make different geometrical shapes, that was my reality for a couple of days. The clock on the wall in ICU that I could see blurrily, if that is a word, the walls, and I just sort of accepted that as reality. And I wasn't really conscious even that I was laying down in a bed, but I just remember, because I had a breathing tube in my mouth and lights bothered me and vision was blurry, but I could make out shapes and stuff. But then I could clearly see these things folding onto each other as they slowly draped over my body or consumed me, and I just kind of calmly accepted and thought, well, fuck, this is real. Okay, so let's. And I didn't panic or get upset. I just kind of sort of took it all in and thought, okay, well, this is reality now. Couldn't talk, and there were these curtains that kind of went all around. It wasn't really a room, sort of within a large room that sectioned off all the different beds. And at one point, the curtains turned into that orangey macaroni and cheese sauce and started from my legs down as I'm watching it slowly pour over my body. And eventually I know it's like, okay, I'm gonna be covered in it, and this is how it ends. That's gonna be what does it. And I just sort of lay there going, okay, gotta accept it, nothing I can do, couldn't move. Don't really remember if I actually tried to. And then another one was, for some reason, COVID was in my head, or a big societal disease, and that's why I couldn't go home. But for some reason, I was in the back of a green 60s muscle car on the floor of the back seat, like a Mustang or something, in the parking lot of somewhere sunny and warm, like California. And I just thought, okay, I've just got to get up and then I can go home because this isn't real. And I'll be fine. I just need to wake up. And I think like a whole day or a whole afternoon went by where I'm like, okay, like just get up and go home. This isn't real. Fuck. And Lord knows why those things were in my head, because I sure don't. But that's what I believed. And I don't think anyone could have convinced me otherwise. And so one of the first times where I sort of saw reality was one morning where I was waking up and there were two nurses in my room, and one of them was changing the IV bag, and I could see the shape of her. I knew it was a female, and I could see that she was reaching onto the bag and taking it off and all that kind of stuff. And the other nurse called her Karen, and I thought to myself, well, isn't that nice? My dad's wife was here and changing my IV bag. But she's not a nurse. I mean, my dad had passed away years ago, and my dad's wife is the same name as the nurse that was helping me, and I just thought, what the hell does she know about changing an IV bag? But hey, it's nice that she's here helping out, which of course it wasn't her. She wasn't there. But those are things that stuck out in my mind. I remember hearing quite a while later that on one of the days that my daughter was there, that she squeezed my hand. And apparently I responded by squeezing back. And I hadn't done that for anybody else. Of course, I don't remember that. I didn't see it, but I think it was either the same ICU nurse or a doctor that said that is a good sign. Obviously that happened for a reason. And then some of the next things I remembered was being very, very frustrated when I was starting to be aware, okay, my wife and my daughter are there, I'm obviously in the hospital, I'm injured, I can't get up, I can't move, I can't talk. And I remember being very frustrated by the inability to speak or to communicate. And so I started trying to write on a notepad. And I want to say that somewhere somebody has some of those notes. And of course it's just fucking babble or scribble. And I was so frustrated, but I couldn't express that frustration, at least not in words, to my wife and daughter. And I remember feeling so fucking thirsty because I had that tube in my mouth or throat. You know, it just makes you dry. And one of the first things that was sort of legible was I want a lemonade. I wanted a Tim Hortons lemonade and an iced tea the moment that fucking tube came out of my mouth. because I think we had kind of been told that that was coming soon, because I was breathing on my own. I think after a couple of days, 2 to 3 days or something like that, after all the surgeries and everything. And I just wanted to fucking eliminate so bad. So yeah, and that's when I was also conscious of people coming to visit me, and some of the executive coming to visit me when I could first talk, and some lifelong personal friends who were also in supervisory roles, and divisional commanders and stuff like that. And so things really started to sink in that I was in rough fucking shape, and that this was going to be a long fight. But I'd lived. So I think we'll cut it there for today, because I'm just a little over 20 minutes. And none of you sons of bitches can hold your attention for much longer than that. So thanks very much for listening. For everyone that continues to subscribe, I hope that this helps people understand. I hope that anyone who's going through a rough time physically, mentally after an accident, or just after absorbing difficult bullshit over the years, realizes that they can make it through anything, as I have. I never set out intending to be an example or inspiration, but if somebody's getting a little restless, I'm gonna have to go to let Frankie out now. But love you guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, enjoy the job, enjoy your days off more. And if you're going through a rough time, reach out to a peer support member, reach out to members of the behavioral health unit, talk to somebody. There are a shit ton of resources out there to help you get through whatever. And even if it doesn't feel like it's worth it, or you don't want to, do it for the people you love. Take care, guys. Bye.